Welcome to A Closer Look. This is a podcast where we're taking a closer look into the lives of HLG staff, students, whatever we want to talk about. This is my great friend, and if you're not an athlete, you do not know who he is. It's our athletic trainer, Joshua Miley. He is quite possibly one of my favorite dudes, and the only reason I'm still playing basketball at HLG. Because I'd be broken by then.
Yes, you would.
How are you, Josh?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So if people don't know you, you are quite honestly one of the athletes' favorites. You are the person we hang out with in the athletic training room. The reason it is labeled, you have to label it not as a hangout spot.
Yes, very much so.
So we're going to start today. We want to learn about your past. Tell us a little bit about how you came to HLG.
Yeah, actually, this is my 10th year at Hannibal Grange, 9th as the head athletic trainer. Started out whenever I graduated from grad school in Iowa State in 2012, was looking for a small college to get to. Grew up in Kansas City area in a Southern Baptist church and grew up knowing about HLG, and they had an opening. And whenever I was applying for it, we had just recently added wrestling, and I have extensive experience in wrestling. And got here, loved it, loved meeting with Ashley, who was the head athletic trainer at the time, and loved the staff, loved the coaches, and got here from there. Getting into athletic training, I actually did my undergrad at Truman State University, where it's there for 5 years, getting my undergrad degree in exercise science and athletic training. Worked with numerous sports there. Then went on to Iowa State, and then, now year 10 here, which it's kind of weird saying year 10.
I mean, 7, 8, and 9, 10 have been your favorite because I've been here. But tell me a little bit about Truman. So, being a college student, it's fun. It's a great time. Truman is a fun college as well. Tell me some of, your favorite places to, what were your favorite things to do, eating-wise? What was your favorite place to eat, or, what classes were hard and stuff like that? Tell me something about
okay. So the most difficult class I had at Truman was our cadaver anatomy. Mm-hmm. So we actually got to go through the dissection process of new cadavers. By far the most difficult, but also one of the most fun classes to do. Going back to that even brings back nightmares, actually. Truman was a lot of fun, though. The professors were great. I loved I took the 5-year route because of that. Decided that I wanted to add another major and a couple of minors to try to stay there as long as I could. Wanted to be a full-time college student forever. Kirksville, small town, population probably similar to that of Hannibal, but not actually as much to do, but it is a good college town. Great places to eat. Poly Ice Pizza, Bellacino's. They have a couple of great Chinese places. Man, I love Truman. Kirksville is awesome. And it's also right next to Thousand Hills, which is a great park, great lake to go out and chill. We did a lot of time out there studying, doing homework projects out there. So the cadaver lab. How did you not faint from the smell of ammonia? I can't stand it. Yeah, whatever the smell that you smell whenever you're around any sort of dissection. I couldn't even do a pig. I was about to puke. How did you get by that? You get used to it. Especially, we did open labs. So the lab was open from 6 to 10 every night for us to go in and study. And we were in there a ton whenever we were taking the class. And it's something you just get used to. Kids would do, if they were really sick of it, they'd put a little Vicks Vapor Rub under their nose. That's always a little bit of a trick to do it. But really, I didn't mind it. I got used to it really fast.
Yeah, when I was in high school, we took a trip to a SLU cadaver lab. And nothing I want to see again. When I saw that, they started peeling back, and I was like...
Yeah, we would actually take bets on how many people were going to pass out whenever we would do certain things. Yeah. I remember our professor, Dr. Hauser, was amazing. He lined the thigh muscles with saran wrap, put beef jerky inside it, because whenever you've got a dried cadaver, they kind of look like beef jerky. And so he actually pulled out the beef jerky and just took a big bite out of it, and 2 girls just collapsed right now.
That's awesome. So Truman was awesome. Sounds like you're a big Italian guy. Love at least 2 of the pizza.
They had some really good places at Kirksville.
I've been a couple times. The Colton Steakhouse is my favorite because I enjoy
that wasn't
steak.
There when I was there. It was actually
I know.
Ponderosa, which doesn't really exist anymore.
That's a buffet, isn't it?
Yeah.
They used to have one at Hannibal. Where the Rustic Oak is, used to be Ponderosa.
Oh.
I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's before your time. But so you went to Iowa State, which is a big jump. That's
yes.
Kirksville, which is size Hannibal.
Yes.
to Iowa State, which I honestly don't know the city, but I would assume it's a D1 college, so it's
well,
pretty
yeah.
massive.
Yeah, Power 5 conference, Big 12. I think the enrollment for Iowa State was 30, 40,000. I don't even remember.
Yeah.
It was definitely up there. Big jump.
Bigger than Hannibal.
A lot. Yes. Yes. Some of
The
our
enrollment was bigger than the population of
I
Hannibal.
was going to say, no, our Gen Psych class probably had the entire enrollment of HLG in one lecture class.
Oh, my gosh.
Different environment, but a lot of fun, a good experience, but also working there for 3 years and helping out with a lot of D1 Big 12 sports definitely made me appreciate the smaller college.
Mm-hmm.
I loved my time there. It was a great experience, but definitely like the smaller college feel.
Like to get to know people.
Yes.
Like I don't like here. Everybody knows who you are. Everybody knows like you on a personal level too.
Yeah, like I've got a great relationship with a lot of our athletes here, and that's one thing that I loved about working here at HLGU. Iowa State, had some know a lot of the coaches still, talk to them. But as far as actually building relationships with the athletes, it's more, especially in football, men's basketball, it's business.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah.
Tell me, what was your favorite sports to cover in the Big Sense? Like, I'm sure you probably had to tape every lineman's ankle, or
football,
which is a whole roll of tape on its own.
Yeah, no kidding. Everybody was having to get their ankles taped. My favorite sports to work, though, by far, wrestling and ice hockey.
Yeah.
Which, unfortunately, we don't have ice hockey here. That's one sport I really miss.
So I remember our class. I took a class with Josh back in the day, my sophomore year, when I was an exercise science major, before all of this. And it's called Care and Prevention of Athletes. And Josh shows every single person gruesome photos of injuries because he likes to see us squall them. And he showed us a slice of the Achilles by a skate.
By a skate, yeah.
And this is how tough ice hockey players are. He told us that the guy wanted to go back in after.
Yeah, he came off the ice after getting a skate right through his Achilles, and he wanted to just wrap it up. And he's like, I can keep skating.
How are you
like,
walking?
No, you're not. But, mom's taking you to the ER.
Yeah, no, that could not be.
Then it took quite some time to get the blood off the ice.
Yeah, that's bad. But so ice hockey and wrestling, you told me you covered like the Big 10 championship.
Big 12.
Was it Big 12 championship?
Yeah.
Sorry, wrong conference.
Okay.
But how was that, like covering a major conference championship? And wrestling isn't as big, but it's still big in Iowa.
Well, no, in Iowa, wrestling is its own religion. At the high school level, for the state high school tournament, the entire state will shut down. If a small town like the size of Hannibal has 2 state qualifiers, the business will shut down, and they will all go and watch them at state. The Big 12 tournament, that actually was not a fun experience for me because 2 days prior I tore my ACL and every other ligament actually in my knee and fractured my femur. So I was in a straight leg immobilizer, and I was out there like cleaning blood off the mats and stuff like that, and I was getting texts and stuff from friends saying what's going on. I'm like, yeah, that wasn't fun. But that was a lot of good wrestling. Big 12, especially with Oklahoma State, Iowa State, lots of powerhouses in the wrestling world. And so it was a good time.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like awesome. So you then transitioned from Iowa State to HLG.
Mm-hmm.
Did you start as an assistant, or did you go straight to head AT?
No, my first year I was the assistant AT. Ashley Hertzel was the head AT. Actually, she was the first head AT and the only AT that HLG had for a while. And then she got an assistant, Lisa. Lisa was leaving. Actually, Lisa, then Lynn Bauer, so Marilyn's daughter. She was the assistant before me. And she was leaving for another job, and so I came in, took over there, and then Ashley had twins in the spring of, that would have been 2013, and she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So with 3 kids and now 2 infant twins, she left, and she retired her license, and now she's loving her life as just a mom.
Oh, I bet that's so much fun. So 1 year assistant AT, then really just jumping full force into head AT, thrown into the wolves. So what was that like the first couple of years, getting used to being your own boss? I mean, really, of course there's Nichols and people and Allen that are ahead of you, but you really control what you control. Yeah. So what's it like being your own boss in the medical field, in AT field like that?
It's a lot of fun, actually. And one of my jobs at Iowa State, I was the head athletic trainer for Ames High School, and I was the main AT out there. So that definitely prepared it, taking over the head AT role at HLG, because I was in charge of helping with insurance claims, which at the high school level we didn't have to do too much because kids had to deal with their own insurance, but dealing with the budget, the ATR hours, policies, procedures, developing concussion policies and all of that. Had to do that at the high school level, and a lot of that was able to transition over to HLGU, which made the job a lot easier. Also, in that spring semester, whenever Ashley had her twins and she went on maternity, it was just me. We were able to bring in an athletic trainer from Quincy Medical Group a couple days a week for a few hours, or if we had baseball, softball going on, because at that time, baseball still played their home games down at Clemens Field. But otherwise, it was just me, and so it was really just kind of getting thrown into the wolves, as you said, like, and there you just have to adapt and you have to learn. You have to also, one thing I learned very, very fast that semester was saying no, because I've always been kind of a yes person and wanted to do whatever I could to help everybody, and realized that I would get spread way too thin. So learning to say no was very valuable in becoming a head AT.
And that was back when the trailer wasn't there.
Yeah, we didn't have the trailer. We just had the small athletic trainer in the MSC, and we had a few more athletes because we also had men's volleyball, and there was JV sports for men and women's basketball, as well as women's volleyball had a JV team. So in one of those years, men's soccer even had a JV team. So more athletes, and we had a much, much smaller facility.
Yeah. So I've completely forgot that you worked at high school, which is bad of me, because some of your coolest stories that you've told me are from the high school level.
A lot of those entries in high school.
You worked with Doug McDermott, am I right?
Yeah, Doug McDermott.
And then Harrison Barnes.
And Harrison,
which, if you don't know, Doug McDermott was also a professional basketball player in the NBA. He played for the Pelicans.
Doug started off. Oh, where did he start off? Right now he's down in San Antonio. He's played for the Bulls. He was with the Pacers for a bit. I can't remember who actually drafted him first. I feel kind of bad there.
I think it was the Hornets at the time, which is now the Pelicans.
Oh, see, it's funny. Like, my professional contacts are in NBA, and I'm not going to lie, basketball's one of my least favorite sports.
Oh, I know. I know. Trust me.
Only time I watch it, it's Doug or Harrison.
Me and Landon we've come to face the fact. But Harrison Barnes played for Gold State, which at the time was Clay and Steph. And was it cool to see such a player you worked with have so much success?
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, especially, and Doug was the NCAA Player of the Year his senior season whenever he was at Creighton. And then Harrison, after graduating from Ames High, went on to North Carolina for a few years, and then NBA, got drafted right away. I don't know if he was drafted by Golden State or if he just got traded right away to Golden State.
I think he was drafted.
I think he was drafted by him, though. But, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like, hey, I worked with him. I actually worked a lot with him. I mean, Harrison would text me at 6 o'clock in the morning, you going to be at the high school soon? So I had a lot of time with him whenever he was in high school, but it's a lot of fun watching them play. Yeah,
for sure. That's so cool. So I want to go and jump to some fun questions for you as an AT, ones that I want to hear about.
The gross ones?
Yes, the gross ones. That's what I want to hear. Some people may not like this, but I do. What's your worst injury through all of your career as an AT? Is it the one I'm thinking of? Is it the soccer field with Nacho? Or no, was it Nacho?
No, that wasn't Nacho.
What was his name? The compound tib fib fracture. Which, if you don't know what a compound tib fib fracture is, watch Kevin Ware. That's when
oh yeah, no kidding. I'm not allowed to say. Come on, you know.
Oh yeah, HIPAA. My bad.
But it was a Brazilian soccer player, and he did have. That's probably been the worst injury that we've had at HLGU. Compound tibia fracture. Got a late tackle right to the middle of the leg. Mm-hmm. Tibia was sticking out a little bit through the calf. Fibula was shattered. It took an ambulance 45. It was about 45 minutes for the ambulance to get here to actually get him off the field. That's been by far the worst one I've had at HLGU. I have had a couple of athletes fracture their neck. Which that's always scary. Thankfully, no complications.
Did you have to get like a spinal board and everything like that?
Yeah. One was a football player, one was a wrestler, so had to hold C-spine, so hold them still as possible until we were able to get them in to the ER. Had an open elbow dislocation, so the tip of the elbow was sticking out about 2 inches through the skin. That was a wrestler. He also, I'm not allowed to reduce elbows, but he wanted our tournament doc just to pop it back in so he can continue wrestling. Doc was like, yeah, no, you're going to the hospital. The compound fractures are always the scary one, especially because they can be life altering. The soccer player who experienced that, I mean, he's actually still playing recreationally. But for several years, he definitely had a very noticeable limp.
You showed us the x-ray, and there was tons of screws.
Oh, no, yeah, he had
I think 2 plates, right?
No, the compound tib hip fracture, they were able to just set the fibula with no issue, but he had a huge titanium rod essentially put into the length of the tibia. He actually wanted to get that taken out, which is common for that to be done after it's completely healed. But I showed him a video of how they did that, and he opted not to get it taken out.
So
we did a couple of weeks later after his compound fracture. We had another ankle fracture.
That was the one you showed us with the 2 plates.
Yes, he had a couple screws put in his tibia, and he had a plate and 8 or 9 screws in the fibula.
Yeah, that's rough.
That was a bad season, but we did go to nationals that year.
Yeah, that was the 2008, 2009.
No, that was 2016.
2016, so a lot later than what I thought. But there is a couple banners up there from 2008, 2009.
That was before me, though.
Yeah.
I came in 2012.
Yeah, I forget you're not
I'm not that old. Come on, Grant.
You're not that old. So let's go back to last year. Or last year, 2 years ago, a little bit in between. Set the stage. I'm a sophomore in college. You're at your 8th year at HLG. We experienced something that's never been experienced before in probably around 50 years with COVID, a global pandemic.
Yes.
So as an AT, I mean, I had you as a professor at that time, but as an AT, how hard was it to deal with that and athletes and all that stuff? How did that go?
So obviously what was that, spring of 2019, where we went on spring break and didn't come back. That was rough, especially that summer because, so many places were actually, I know a lot of friends, athletic training friends who were laid off because without sports going on, they didn't have work. They weren't able to pay them. So they were either furloughed or laid off completely. Thankfully, HLGU was in a decent position, a good position where that didn't happen. So definitely thankful for that. But a lot of small schools were struggling. And whenever you're dealing with the health field and trying to get the athletes back to being able to play, but obviously in a safe manner, that summer I was on a couple of different committees for the NATA as well as the AMC dealing with COVID and trying to get back into athletics. And that was weekly Zoom meetings that would last, a couple of them lasted more than 2 hours. Just trying to figure out policies, procedures, testing, quarantine issues, just getting all that hashed out. And then also because we really didn't have any guidance, because this is the first time that it's happened in many years. And we really, even back whenever we had the flu pandemic, like we weren't trying to play and sports weren't really a big thing back then, at least at the college level and the high school, and trying to get them to play. So there wasn't as much guidance as what we were hoping for, but that's because it was kind of the first time for anybody doing this. So we were just having to essentially follow what science we had, but make up a lot of it as we went. But I think the AMC, our conference, and the NAI, we did a good job in the fall. We had, of course, everybody had positives, but I think I'm almost positive we were the only school in the AMC where we did not have to cancel or postpone a contest because of positives on our end. No. We had rescheduled issues, but that was because our opponent had positives or had too many kids in quarantine. So all of the student athletes, the coaches here, following the policies and procedures, did a great job. It was a headache. It was a lot of work, but in the end, it was worth it.
Yeah, it was pleasant. It wasn't too bad as an athlete. The worst part was the no fans. But that, I mean, we all expected it coming in. But so when we quarantined, you had those 2 hour long meetings and all that stuff like that. So when you came back, I remember you talking to us about it and telling us everything's going to go down and all this stuff. And how did you, like, when you were talking about it, did you feel like, were you like, man, this is going to suck because I'm going to be looked at as the bad guy here? Oh, yeah. Because I'm going to have to quarantine people.
Yeah, me and Josh Pierce probably felt the same way doing the close contact. I mean, Josh Pierce did a lot more than I had to, thankfully. Love you, Josh, for having to do that. But dealing with the athletics and having to go into the close contacts. And I remember, actually, it was men's basketball. You guys were on the road, and another athlete tested positive, and one of your teammates had all of a sudden became a close contact, and I believe Coach Nichols ended up getting a school van so that he could go down there and pick him up at a rest stop where you guys dropped him off so that you guys wouldn't be close contacts if he had tested positive.
We were going to Arkansas to go play CBC. I'm pretty sure CBC, if I remember correctly. But I was supposed to room with said basketball player because he was at the time one of my favorite people to be around. And so I thought I was gonna have to get quarantined because I was concerned because I mean that same guy I was going against every day in practice.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that was interesting. Definitely one of the weirder stories of that year. One of the best things I think that HLG ever did was they still allowed parents to come to the home games.
Yeah.
Which
a limited capacity.
Yeah.
Social distancing, masks, all that. But yes, it was nice.
You know my parents specifically. My mom is the biggest fan that we have. She's so into it that even could be assumed as a little rowdy sometimes.
Yes.
But I remember she was grateful, and she had nothing but praise to say about you guys and HLG and stuff like that at that time. So I just would like to thank you for how you guys handled it. And it was awesome as an athlete to be one of the ones that got lucky with where the school was.
Of course.
So we're getting close on time here because I only have about 33 minutes on my SD card, and we're 20 minutes in. So I want to get on to, let's move on to future. So when it comes to the athletic training room, what are you looking for to improve on, and how are you looking to improve those situations? Because I mean, it is a trailer, it's
don't judge a book by its cover. If you've never been inside it, it's actually really nice.
It's very nice on the inside, and but some things that as an athlete would be nice to have is a full ice bath where I can fit, because I'm 6'8". I can't fit in the ice bath barely.
That we have to get one of those
big ones,
the size of the hot tubs.
The whirlpools, those are so cool.
Yes.
CMU had one when I went to visit when I was an athlete in high school, and I was like, oh, that's sweet.
Iowa State, I think we've got 8 of them in the various athletic training rooms.
So what are you looking for if we have some money next year? What is your big improvements you hope to improve?
Well, I will say HLGU, the trustees, the admin, they've done a great job with the budget for athletic training. They definitely want to look after the athletes. And so we actually have some funding to where I try to improve or get something new that will benefit as many athletes as possible every year. So a couple of years ago, we got a Normatech, which is a compression unit that a lot of you guys, it's probably one of the favorites.
Love it.
All of the athletes who use that end up loving it. And because that became so popular and we would actually have a sign-up sheet to do the Normatech on occasion, we were able to get another one of those. This was kind of trying to make a positive out of a negative. We used to have 3 ATs, and unfortunately, due to budget issues, we did have to cut one of them a couple of years ago. We made that office into a private exam room, and so we've gotten more modalities for in there. We put a new Game Ready in there. We got a new ultrasound for in there.
You have that Hypervolt that does your back and heat. Oh my gosh,
yeah,
thing is amazing.
Yeah, those things are awesome. We did get those were new this year, so that was we always try to get something not obviously overly pricey, but something that will benefit the athletes.
Well, I swear
a new modality or a new rehab toy.
I swear I'm your guinea pig. You call me and you're like, because I live in New London, of course, and I'm not too far away, and you call me and you're like, hey, you want to try out some new toys? And I'm like, heck yeah.
Whenever we get them in over the summer, absolutely.
I love that thing. I still use it all the time because it just feels amazing on your back. And
I traveled with men's soccer this last weekend. It was 5-hour road trip to Bellevue, Nebraska, and those are also very portable, and guys were using them for a nice chunk.
You get stiff, and it's super nice to warm
whenever you're
on
a bus for 5 hours and then having to get off and play right away, it definitely helps.
That's what I love about that Normatech too. It warms up your muscles.
Yeah, we took that too. Took a table, and so we actually had 3 or 4 guys once we got off the bus getting in the Normatech.
Yeah, it's nice because I used it before one game, and I tell you what, I played with I felt like I was jumping high. And you know me, I'm tall, white. I'm not heavier set, but I'm a heavy dude. I weigh 270 pounds, and I was feeling like I could dunk out of the gym. I felt like LeBron James out there, and so
does a great job.
It was nice. Scored 28 that game, by the way. So, but
all conference.
Yeah, honorable mention. Sadly. It sounds so great. You're like all conference, and it's like honorable mention. So you're just down low.
You don't have to say first team, second team, honorable
mention.
No,
you don't have to say it. But I first team, second team, third team. They all get plaques and stuff like that. And I get a little paper. I get a little paper. It's not much, but it's and that's so sweet that you improve. And for basketball, we do a lot of work in that smaller AT room.
Yeah.
before games and
Yeah,
stuff
we
like
still
that.
use that for game days
And
for you guys in
It's got
volleyball.
it's got a stem machine in it and all that.
Yeah, we
stuff.
have it's set up for the basics for anything that we would need before the game. It has have a game ready in there, stem, ultrasound. One thing though is I trust all of our coaches, love all our coaches, but they do have access to that room, so we do keep a lot more stuff locked up.
Yeah.
So if you wanted a game ready, the hoses and stuff are locked up, so you can go in there and just do it on your own. But it is useful for game days.
Thankfully, you don't lock up the saline solution because I use that
No,
quite a bit.
that we
I'll tell you what, the amount of times I get hit in the face in practice and my contact pops out, it's bad. I have to like sprint into the AT room and put in saline solution so I can put my contact back in. But so we're gonna wrap up here because we're running low on time and you're a busy man. You gotta get back to work and stuff like that.
Nah.
You want to keep talking? But so I just want to say personally, as an athlete, thank you so much for all you've done for me. You're probably one of the reasons that I'm still walking today with the amount of times I get beat up in fastball. But I just want to say thank you. And from all the athletes and all the parents and everybody at HLG, we thank you for all your work.
You're welcome. It's a lot of fun work with you guys.
All right. This has been a closer look into the life of Josh Miley. It's been a great time, and he will always be one of my greatest friends.